Hello, hello, and welcome back to Sprout Sessions. My name is Vera Flores, and I'll be your host today. I work on the community team here at Sprout, and I'm thrilled to be with all of you. Our goal with Sprout Sessions is to bring our industry together and arm you with insights to inspire you to take action on your own social strategy. We'll get started in just a moment, but first I want to cover off on a few housekeeping items. These sessions will be recorded and live on our YouTube page. So if you have to step out, no worries, you can access the recording immediately following the presentation. We also encourage all of you to engage with us and your fellow professionals on social by tweeting at Sprout Social or by using the hashtag Sprout Sessions. This is a digital conference, so be sure to get social with it. Lastly, our speaker has agreed to stick around for a few minutes after their session to answer any questions. To ask questions directly, please use the chat panel on the right of your YouTube screen. You can ask questions throughout the presentation, and we'll filter those over to our presenter. Now let's get this started. Allow me to pass it over to Susan Chang, social media lead over at Dropbox, to introduce themselves.
Hi guys, I'm Susan Chang. As Vera said, I'm the head of social media here at Dropbox, and I'm really excited to be speaking with you guys today. And today I'll be talking about how software brands create memorable customer experiences. I think when we think about branding, we think a lot about these great classic and timeless brands such as Nike or Lego or Coca-Cola, and those are, largely consumer brands. But I don't think that means software brands or tech brands like Dropbox or other companies can't play in that field as well. So what I found in my work recently is that if you just do marketing about your features, that's not enough anymore. You really have to compete with the Coca-Colas and Legos and Nikes of the world. So you really do also have to start considering a brand for your company as well. And a brand is important because you get to create these positive associations between your brand and your customers. You can connect to their aspirations and emotions, and you also establish a direct relationship with them. And just by doing marketing, you can't achieve any of those things. You really have to start working on your brand. So when we looked at Dropbox, we saw that we had a problem. Let me step back. The good news was that we had 500 million users of Dropbox, and we were doing really well as a company. But when we looked out into the landscape of us plus our competitors, we realized we were just one in a sea of very similar looking tech logos who also had very similar messages. So here's just a quick snapshot of what us and the other brands actually looked like. These are real logos. So as you can see, it's really easy to get lost in this, blue and white sea of tech brands. And we knew that we needed to do something different. We weren't standing out in any way. Just by looking at our visual identity, you can see that it was very similar to everything else that was out there. And not only were our logos the same, but our illustration style, which had evolved over the years of our company, was also starting to be imitated and looked at by other brands. And so these are 4 images from different brands, but as you can see, they're starting to look really similar. In addition to the logos and illustrations that were used in marketing campaigns starting to look really similar, we noticed that messages were also very similar. And so a lot of these brands talk about teamwork and simplifying the way you work together. And we saw this reflected in a lot of videos and promotional materials and marketing campaigns. So what did we do? We quickly realized that we had a task on our hands, and we needed to really start thinking about the Dropbox brand. I think before we launched our new rebrand, we were known as a company that operated in the background of your computers. It just works at one point was one of our taglines. But we realized, again, we need to stick out. We need to differentiate ourselves from our customers, from our competitors. So the solution Part one that I'll be talking through today is our brand relaunch. And again, a brand is a way that you can really create and evoke emotions between your company, your messaging, and your audience. And we really wanted to focus on how to do that well and how to do it in a way that still was true to our values and our core products, was helping us get ahead of our competition. So there were two key components of the brand relaunch that I'll go over today. There were a lot of other components, but for the sake of this presentation, I'll go over two key elements. One was we had a new message, and the second was we had a visual identity redesign. With the first element, the new message, I just mentioned that at one point, "It just works" was one of our taglines. You might have seen that out in the world. At one point, "Simplify the way you work together" was also one of our taglines. But again, we realized that this message was just getting lost with all the other competitors and all the other tech brands that had very similar words that they were using to describe what they did. And so we gave a lot of thought to this message. That's the new message that we launched back in October with the relaunch. It's "The world needs your creative energy. Let's keep it flowing." And there was a lot of research done to get to that message. But one of the things I would like to point out is that we wanted to be very inclusive. We wanted everyone to relate to this message in some way. And we realized that this creative energy concept was something that wasn't really tied to a lot of tech brands. And we really wanted to talk about different creative energy types. And that was the way that we were going to associate or keep things relevant with multiple audiences. And I'll go through this a little bit more later in the presentation. The visual identity redesign, that was the second element I'll go over today. So as part of the new brand activation, we changed how Dropbox looked and felt across our website, across all of our marketing, and across all of our user-facing messaging. And this was done both externally so that the general public can see it, but also internally at Dropbox as well. So I'll go over both of those and how that impacted those two audiences. But we wanted our brand to reflect the reality of working together and how people feel when they're unleashing creative energy. So that's how we landed on this new metaphor for working together. And then when you see the redesign, which I'll show you guys in a second, you'll see that there's always two components that come together to make something new. So a few of the things we updated was we have a new color palette. So we're no longer the white and blue that gets lost in the sea of brands. We had a new glyph and a new logo. And we also changed our type, our font. So the font that you're seeing now in this presentation is our new font. It's called Sharp Grotesque. So Dropbox went from this to this. As you can see, this is a lot more vibrant. We have our new messaging. It's very colorful, and we don't look like all the other brands anymore. And we're really trying to appeal to different audiences. And again, we're also trying to appeal to people's emotions, very inspirational messaging. So what do we do for our external promotion? There are a few key things that I'll go over. The first is we had an Anthem video. We had an Anthem video that was launched on the first day of the brand rebrand. It was October 3rd, 2017. This goal for the Anthem video was to really turn heads and get people's attention so that they got to see the new Dropbox. In the Anthem video, which I'll play for you, you'll see a little bit of our product, and we also use this video across all of our social channels, our paid media channels, on TV. You also saw elements that were taken from the video on billboards and other out-of-home experiences. So I'm going to play the video for you guys now. Oops.
seeing the creation of something is like a magical thing. Like that's it. That's the driving force.
Cool. So that was our Anthem video. And in it, like I said, you saw product integration, you saw our new messaging, and you also saw very short snippets of our customers, which is the next piece of content and external promotion that I'll go over really quickly. We also wanted our customers to be a part of this campaign. We didn't want them to just highlight the way that they use Dropbox, which is how a lot of our customer videos have gone in the past, but we wanted to tell their inspiring process and story of their nonprofit or of their company. So we featured companies like Canary, which is a home security company, So Ill, they're a design agency, architecture design agency, and this is World Bicycle Relief. And all these companies are very different from each other. We made sure to reach out to different verticals, but we all share this message of creative energy. So we created 15, 30, and 60-second versions of all of these videos to share on social. And I'll play a 15-second version of World Bicycle Relief right now.
What we're doing with bicycles to address the barriers of distance, Dropbox does with information. The impact is so great, it never felt difficult. It always just felt imperative.
Cool. So those are our customer videos. Another part of external promotion that we focused a lot on was our product and web updates. So even though this was a very marketing-focused campaign, we also had to make updates to all of our websites. Everything on Dropbox.com, for example, if it had the old logo, it had to be updated to the new one. Our colors palette had changed. And so this was most evident in a launch that we actually had just a couple weeks after the rebrand went live. We were launching a new SKU for Dropbox called Dropbox Professional, and it came with a slew of new features, including Dropbox Showcase. This was a feature targeted at creatives and freelancers and people who would need to show their work to clients. And Dropbox Showcase offered a really easy and beautiful way to do that. And this launch really leaned into the new brand. All of our creative assets and language went through the new brand filters, and our audience targeting was aligned with the overall audience targeting of the new brand, which was creatives. And then this is a 30-second version of a product video that we created, for Dropbox Showcase.
Share your voice, your vibe, your vision, exactly as you see it. Share your showcase and keep your creative energy flowing. Share your voice, your vibe, your vision, exactly as you see it. Share your showcase and keep your creative energy flowing.
Okay, so that was our actual product video that we used to talk about Dropbox Showcase and introduce it to the world. But you can see that it was really in line with the new rebrand. The last part of external promotion I'll talk about is social content. So we had a ton of new social content that we needed to get out into the world, and we launched all of our creative assets on our channels. We updated all of our social profiles and our headers and our logos, and we promoted blog content, videos, and clicks back to Dropbox.com. So this is just a quick snapshot of how social looked after the rebrand. Like I said, we updated all of our headers and logos. Everything, again, is very colorful. It's all in line with our messaging. And then the second part of our rebrand was internal promotion. So not only did we have to convince our external audience and our customers that we were this new Dropbox, we also had to impress our internal employees. So that was also a long process that we worked on. And we created a few different things. The first was a new brand and voice guide that we released internally to everyone that worked here. And that was meant to help people understand how we were going to talk about the brand. It was a combination of what we say and how we say it. And in that document, the 3 new adjectives that were used to describe our brand were expressive, opinionated, and supportive. And that's always changing. We consider our brand and voice guide a living document, and we're continuously adding to it and making sure that it's relevant and is reflective of who Dropbox is. We also had multiple all-hands meetings to tell the story to Dropboxers, and this wasn't just done over a short period of time. We started doing this months ahead of the rebrand launch, making sure that people had the opportunity to hear from our executives talk about what this brand meant, not just for marketing, but also for product and design and for engineers. So every team here understood how this rebrand would affect their work. And then lastly, we just did something really fun. We created these Snapchat filters for our various offices around the world. So for a couple weeks after the brand went live, we just created these little Snapchat filters so people could interact with the brand through Snapchat. So you might be curious, how is it all going? And I'm sorry, but the campaign just launched in October 2017, so I don't have results for you guys yet. We have preliminary results, and things are looking really great. People love the new redesign. They're very surprised, but overall, they within the audience that we're trying to target, they've been really positive with their feedback. So the results that we are collecting are views, impressions, site traffic, and signups. And then we're also tracking brand lift to see if people recall that Dropbox has this new brand, and if they recall some of the advertising that they're seeing out in the world. The second part of the solution that we came up with was just ongoing social activities. And this isn't just tied to the rebrand. This is just something that we do all the time as Dropbox to make sure that we can stand out and make real connections with our users. So 2 of the things that we do is we concentrate on social care. So in our social care, we are really helpful, but very playful with our responses, and I can show you examples of that. And then also we take part in cultural moments. We want to be part of timely conversations and try to kind of not take advantage, but join a conversation that might be trending or that might be relevant at a very specific point in time. So the first aspect is social care. Like I said, we're really playful with our replies. We provide the support when needed, but we also take advantage of opportunities to have really positive interactions with our users. And everyone here knows that social is a great way to directly interact with people who reach out to you, who might have a problem or might have a positive comment to leave you. So we really want to take those opportunities and turn those into brand moments. Second, the cultural moments. This is just a part of the job in social media. You have to be aware of what's going on online and in real life. So we create social media gems by interacting with influential social media accounts or brands. So when someone really great like Neil deGrasse Tyson tweets about Dropbox, we are on it, and we assemble a small team together and think about, okay, how do we respond to him so that it's clever and so that we can maybe turn this into a brand moment. We also try to insert our brand into conversations, but we do it in a really lightweight way so that we don't come off as seemingly, inauthentic. So when May the 4th was trending because Rogue One was coming out on, I think, like digital Blu-ray and things like that, we just tweeted out this really simple tweet, no images, nothing else, just to let people know, hey, like we like the same things that you guys like too. And I will say that we did have to actually work with our legal team on this to make sure we didn't, break any rules. But again, like this was all organic. We didn't have to pay for any ads. And this ended up actually being one of our most engaging tweets that month. And then cultural moments. So one of the things that we are doing as a part of the rebrand on social is hooking into trending events. And so this was one of the tweets that we sent out for the Walking Dead finale. And this was in conjunction with a TV spot that we actually aired during that finale. It was a mid-season finale, sorry. But with that mid-season finale airing and our commercial being aired in the middle of it, we also tweeted out this tweet. Just so again, like we don't really expect people to be like watching that finale and tweeting at the same time, but some people do. And so we wanted to see how we could turn our brand message and make it relevant to a specific group of people. So a few quick takeaways from the presentation. Don't just market, build a brand. It's really important to just go beyond what is now just considered table stakes and work on how you can create these personal relationships with your users. You need to find ways to stand out from the rest of your competition, or you'll just get lost in a sea of tech brands, as we did. And also find really lightweight ways to connect with your customers. If you don't have a huge like brand budget, what do? There's still a lot of ways that you can build these very personal relationships with your customers. And the way that we do that here is through social media. So that's my presentation, and thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much, Susan. This is really great, and I love all your insights and the solid examples that you were able to show us. I think that's really helpful for a lot of people. I also love the tie-in of external and internal communications and how social kind of feeds through that whole entire loop. So that really speaks to, I think, what a lot of people who are tuning in are trying to figure out themselves. So friends, we have a little bit of time left for some Q&A, and we'll jump right into it. Susan, we've got a question from Maureen on YouTube, and she asks, did you take down old posts because they included the old brand design?
We didn't. As you probably know, social media is forever. Anything that you post out there, even if you take it down, can still be screenshot or brought back to life in some way. And we also didn't want to erase the history of Dropbox and what our brand used to be. And so we didn't want to delete things like old cover photos for our Facebook page. You can actually still scroll through those if you go to Dropbox on Facebook. So we didn't want to erase the history of our brand, but we did update everything.
Makes sense. You definitely want to keep that evolution of the brand transparent and visible to your audience. I don't think there's any harm in that unless you're doing like a huge rebrand because of specific reasons. So thank you so much for that insight. Next question is from Jenna, and they ask, as head of social, did you spearhead or suggest the brand relaunch, or was it a team of communication professionals who decided that Dropbox needed a change?
It was a huge team, and I was just a very, very small part of it. And it involved many different departments here at Dropbox. We worked with a number of different agencies. We had, a lot of different people working on it. And the challenge was to make sure that everyone was aligned across all of these different departments and all of our different internal and external teams. And so, no, it wasn't me, but it was definitely a huge team effort. And I will say, if you had to give the leader position to one person, it was our CMO, Carolyn Feinstein.
Awesome, thank you. I would say, though, it seems as though that the rebrand launch was very social forward, so it's really refreshing to see that and to see how important Dropbox or how Dropbox prioritizes social. So our next question is from Matthew, and they ask, as a younger, newer employee in a marketing department that is slow to change or innovate, do you have any advice for pushing or encouraging change?
Yeah, I think the second part of my presentation, the part 2 of finding lightweight ways to communicate with your audience, I think that's really important for a company that might not have a ton of social or marketing budget, or for someone who's just starting out in their career, because social is really so unique in that you, like I said, can directly interact with your customers. There's no other channel where you have that kind of instant communication ability. And so I would say start there, like figure out organic ways to take part in different conversations, have those one-on-one replies with people. When I first started here, and to this day, I'll still like go in and users who say, really nice, supportive things about our brand. And we'll pick out a few each month and we'll send them a little card that we handwrite. And we say, hey, thank you for being such a loyal supporter of Dropbox. And we'll send them some swag. We'll send them some stickers or a couple t-shirts just to say, hey, we see you. We really appreciate that you have been with us for this long. And when we send those packages out, they always reach back out to us and are so surprised that we're paying attention to them. But it's really all those people in a group that come together to really support us. So we make sure not to ignore those individuals. So I would say use social, find ways to really just inspire joy with your customers in any way that you can.
That's really great to hear. I love the usage of surprise and delight and fostering relationships with folks on social. So our very last question of this session asks, how often do you monitor other brands to ensure that the Dropbox rebrand is unrivaled?
Yeah, so for the rebrand, we paid a lot more attention to other brands because one of the key metrics that we were looking at was share of voice. And so as a part of that campaign, we were looking at it pretty closely from day to day. And again, it wasn't just me, it was a team of different agencies and people that were looking at different aspects of our share of voice. But before or outside of the rebrand, on a personal level, I don't look at competitors on a regular basis. I will look at it maybe once a month, or if there's a major announcement from a competitor, I'll definitely be following that to see if it has any impact for our brand. But yeah, I guess I don't track competitors as much as I need to. But I think now that we have this new brand and a lot of eyes are on it, it's the frequency of how often I check is probably gonna go up.
Thank you. Yeah, it makes sense that social isn't the only team responsible for monitoring what other brands are doing in the competitive sphere. So I appreciate that you pointed that out. It's a group effort.
Yeah.
Well, friends, it looks like we're close on time. So thank you, Susan, so much for sharing all of your valuable insights and great examples with all of us. Keep your eyes peeled. We're going to compile some of the major takeaways from the session and share it with all of you. And of course, feel free to continue the conversation on social using the hashtag #SproutSessions. From all of us at Sprout, have a great day.